Hi there, it is Granddaughter Crow, the founding CEO of the Eagle Heart Foundation, and I am here with Alanna, and she is our vice president on the board of the Eagle Heart Foundation, and we just decided to get together to kind of help us look at different ways that we can work with different magical items, how to make them magical, how to dedicate them, how to make them sacred, how to work with them. And so another very basic tool that is rather inexpensive is stones. So the interesting thing is that stones, if you consider how long and how they were formed, it really kind of helps you to understand their own innate energy. They are our ancestors, is kind of like how I like to see them. I also think of stones as maybe a diamond is formed under pressure, and maybe you in your life have had a lot of pressure, and maybe you're creating your internal diamond. There are a lot of different ways to work with stones, but I just wanted to turn it over to Alanna. And Alanna, give us kind of an overview about stones, how to work with them, what you do.
So to start with, one of my favorite ways to pick a stone is to just go into a crystal shop and take my non-dominant hand, which is technically your more intuitive side because you don't use it as often, and just kind of put my hands out over top of the stones and just kind of see where I get a feeling. And then once I have that stone, then I'll look up what it is. The reason I like to do that is our intuition is always talking to us. Like sometimes we might kind of feel a little bit of a sniffly nose coming on, but we're not sure if maybe it's just allergies or we're actually getting sick. So we go to the grocery store and we walk into that produce section and we look around and we just go, God, why do oranges sound like the best thing ever? If that's what you're feeling, it's probably because your body is fighting off something it needs the vitamin C. So a lot of times, even without realizing it, we're having intuitive responses with our bodies all the time. Stones are the exact same thing. They fill in the gaps in our energetic fields. So that's one way to do it. You can also be like me and just know that you have what I like to call a weakness stone. Fluorite is a weakness stone for me. If it's a fluorite and I like it, it's coming home. I don't like I ended up walking out with a $180 fluorite obelisk because I was just like, pretty, I'm cuddling it, it's nice.
Yay.
So that's definitely a big part of it too, is some people just really know the stones that they work well with. When you get your stones, it's up to you as an individual if you feel like they need cleansed to do that. Some people say that you should always cleanse them. I personally kind of feel like you should just do it if it feels like it needs it. And a couple of really easy ways to cleanse a stone: put it out on a windowsill where it's going to get moonlight or sunlight and leave it out either overnight, or if you want both the masculine and feminine energies, leave it for 24 hours. It'll be nice and charged and cleansed for you. You can also put it in a little circle of salt for 24 hours, or you can hold it over your solar plexus, which is going to be just right underneath your sternum for people who are not super versed in where the chakras are, and just hold it there and focus on pushing your energy into the stone, which will push any other energy out of it. That's also a way of charging a stone with intention. So if you get an obsidian or a tourmaline, which are two stones that are really heavily associated with protection, if you hold it to your solar plexus and really, really focus on pushing protection energy into it, you're doing double duty because you're cleansing it and you're also setting your intention.
I love it. I love it. So different stones. Talk to us about some common stones. Like, let's start with rose quartz. Like, how would you work with rose quartz? What are the properties?
Rose quartz is a really beautiful pink stone. It is in the quartz family, so it's a silicate, and it's really good for working with any kind of love energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic type love either. It can be self-love, it can be love of nature, it's really a universal love. A goddess that I really associate with rose quartz is Kuan Yin, who is the Chinese goddess of love and compassion and a protector of women and children. She's a female Buddha, a bodhisattva. She's a really, really beautiful, gentle energy to work with. So that is really kind of the embodiment of rose quartz.
I love it. Another one in that same quartz family is clear quartz. And I heard that clear quartz can act like a recorder, like it records the energy. So when a lot of times when I want to do a working or a focus or something, I will cleanse the clear quartz, so it's kind of like erasing whatever was on that recorder, and then have the clear quartz in a place where I'm doing my working, and then kind of sealed it up in my way, saying, okay, now I'm pressing, record, and now I'm pressing stop, and then I can carry that energy with me. So that's one thing that I know. But what do you see as far as clear quartz and the attributes, and how would people work with that?
The way that I've always used quartz, I feel like it's like plugging a guitar into an amplifier. It just makes the energy bigger and louder. So quartz is something that I don't really use by itself. I always will use it in tandem with something else. So if I'm doing like a money spell, if I have my little bowl of herbs, I might have my quartz kind of sitting in the center of that bowl, amplifying the energy of those herbs. It's another one, it's really, really common to see quartz crystal pendulums. I typically don't recommend that for beginners, just because if you're still learning pendulums and you're still kind of learning your energy, if you really, really, really want your pendulum to say yes to a question, because it's going to just amplify your energy, it's going to tell you what you want to hear, more so than something like copper, which is an energy conductor, but it's not an amplifier. It's just going to give you like, I know that you want me to say yes, but the answer is no. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing too, is really pay attention to the tools that you have that might have a quartz attached to them, and make sure that it's something that is going to work for you.
I love that. That's great advice. That's perfect advice. So tell us about another one that I think everybody should have in their magical, sacred workings is selenite.
I love selenite. Selenite is in the gypsum family. It's a gorgeous white stone, and it gets its name from the Greek moon goddess Selene. So it is very heavy on the lunar Cancerian feminine energies, which is really, really great. The other thing that I love about selenite is that it actually cleanses itself and anything around it. So you don't have to cleanse a selenite. I like to think of selenite as the twin sister to citrine, which is more of that sun, masculine, Leo connotation, which they play off of each other, and they both do the same thing. They take a negative energy and they put it out as positive. It just kind of depends. Do you want both in your life if you want a balance? Or do you work more with that lunar feminine energy? Or do you prefer more of that masculine sunshine energy? So you can have one or the other or both. They're both fantastic stones.
I love it. I also heard that some would describe the properties of citrine as psychic protection.
Yes, it's very much about that protection. I think anything that works for purification is also a protector.
That makes sense.
When you think about it, because it's helping to keep you healthy, and when you're healthy, you're safe.
I love it. That makes perfect sense. So the last stone that I want to ask you about is amethyst.
Amethyst, amethyst, amethyst. I adore amethyst. It is a fantastic stone for psychic development. It's also in the quartz family. The quartz family is one of the most diverse on the face of the earth, next to jaspers. So it's a very, very common stone. There are several different kinds of amethyst. You can get it in a lot of different shades. It comes from a lot of different places all over the world, but it's really good for third eye connection, psychic development, psychic protection. It's a really, really great beginner stone because it just helps you tap into that intuition so much more.
I love it. And, you know, with stones, you can get raw stones, you can get tumbled stones, you can get stones that were made into jewelry. You can place stones in your house. Like my property, I buried certain stones in certain positions to the north, south, east, and west for protection and to elevate the energy here. If you do that on your property or in your room, you can do them to the north, south, east, and west, or you can do them in the corners or wherever your intuition and or playful side wants to put them. That's called gridding a space. And it kind of helps. It's kind of like it puts up another energetic field to when you walk into that space. So is there anything else? I know that some people will set stones at certain parts of their body. I know that some people, I like what you said about cleansing the stones either in the moonlight or in the sunlight, and the moonlight being that feminine energy and the sunlight being that masculine energy. I like that idea because sometimes I look at my stones that I've been working with a lot and they look a little tired, and I'm just like, oh, let me put you. And sometimes you know, I put them in like a plant, one of my plant things back to earth so that it recharges, you know, because that's kind of, they're used to that earthy energy. So is there anything else that pops into your mind about working with stones?
You brought up crystal gridding, which is something that is getting very, very popular. And the one thing that I will say about gridding, it is absolutely fantastic. I will also tell you, you do not need to make a grid with 150 stones like you see in some of those crystal gridding books. As beautiful and as gorgeous as they are, crystals do get fairly expensive because when you think about it, they're deep underground most of the time. It takes a lot of work and effort and energy to get to them. So at a certain point, you are going to be paying some heftier prices for certain stones. So just build up your collection slowly if you really, really want to do a grid. If you have even one of each stone that's required, put that on the grid and just write the names of the other ones onto pieces of paper and put it around with the intention, and it's going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. So again, if you have any other thoughts or ideas, please comment below, and thank you for watching.